Captain Lee Minho stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, watching the stars through the main view screen. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he didn't care. Today was supposed to be routine, a simple patrol around Jupiter's moons, checking mining operations and trade routes. Nothing special that changed when the communication array started screaming. "Captain," called Park Yuna from her science station. Her voice was tight with confusion. "We're receiving a transmission on all emergency frequencies. It's not from Earth Command." Minho set down his cup and walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew moved with practiced efficiency. Kim Do-yeon at the security station was already running threat assessments. The young navigation officer, Lee Soo-jin, had her hands dancing across her controls, trying to pinpoint the source. "Where's it coming from?" Minho asked. "That's the problem, sir," Park Yuna replied. "It's coming from everywhere. Multiple ships, formation pattern unknown. They're requesting immediate communication with Earth's government." Minho felt his stomach drop. This was it. The moment humanity had been preparing for since they first launched satellites into space. First contact with alien life. "Let's put it through," he ordered. The view screen flickered and changed. Instead of stars, a face appeared. Least, Minho thought. It was a face. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern and skin that shifted between blue and green. When it spoke, the words came through clearly thanks to some kind of translation device. "Greetings, inhabitants of the 3rd planet from your star. I am Counselor Thexfer of the Galactic Council. We come with urgent news regarding your world's status in galactic law." Park Yuna leaned forward in her chair. "Galactic law, Captain. They have laws about us." Minho raised his hand for silence. This was bigger than anything they had imagined. "Counselor Thexfer, I am Captain Lee Minho, the United Earth ship Horizon. What kind of urgent news?" The alien's expression was hard to read, but something in its tone made Minho nervous. "Captain Lee Minho, your world has been under observation for several of your decades. Based on our findings, Earth has been reclassified under Galactic Statute 847 Delta. "What does that mean?" Minho asked. "Your planet is now designated as a Class 12 Deathworld. Tia, this is the highest danger classification in our records." The bridge fell silent. Kim Do-yeon looked up from his station with wide eyes. "Sir, did he just call Earth a Deathworld?" Thexfer continued speaking before Minho could respond. "According to galactic law, no species from a Class 12 world may join the galactic community. The risk to other species is too great." "Risk?" Park Yuna stood up from her chair. "What kind of risk are you talking about?" "It's Dr. Park Yuna," Thexfer said, apparently having access to their personnel files. "Your planet's environmental conditions are beyond what any known species can survive. The temperature variations alone would kill most galactic citizens within hours. Your gravity is nearly double that of most inhabited worlds. Your atmosphere contains poison gases that would burn the lungs of 70% of known species." Minho shook his head. "Counselor, I think there's been some mistake. These are normal conditions for humans. We evolved here." "That," Thexfer replied, "is exactly the problem." Another alien appeared on the screen next to Thexfer. This one looked more like a giant insect with multiple arms and compound eyes. "I am Science Director Clicksmore. Our analysis of your species shows impossible biological features. Your bone density is 3 times higher than any known sapient species. Your muscle fiber composition suggests you can lift objects weighing several times your body mass. Your healing rate from injuries is faster than our most advanced medical technology." "Those aren't impossible," Kim Do-yeon said. "Those are just human." "Precisely the concern," Clicksmore replied. "Your species has evolved under conditions that would be classified as active torture for most galactic citizens. The fact that you consider this normal makes you extremely dangerous." Park Yuna stepped closer to the screen. Dangerous to who? We're not threatening anyone. Your very existence is a threat, Dexter explained. In galactic history, only 17 worlds have been classified as Class 12 death worlds. In every case, the inhabitants were either destroyed or contained before they could develop space travel. You are the first to achieve interstellar capability. The weight of that statement hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. Minho felt his hands clench into fists. You destroyed 17 entire species because their home worlds were dangerous. Not us personally, Dexter said quickly. This happened long before the current Galactic Council existed, but the precedent is clear. Species from death worlds cannot be allowed to spread throughout the galaxy. That's genocide, whispered Li Sujin from her station. It's survival, replied Clicksmore. Your species eats foods that are toxic to most life forms. You survive in temperature ranges that would freeze or boil the blood of other species. You heal from wounds that would be fatal to others. You reproduce in conditions that would sterilize most species. These are not normal biological features. Ni took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. So what are you here for? To destroy us like the others? We are offering you a choice, Nextver said. Option 1, immediate evacuation. We will transport your population to safer worlds where you can live under controlled conditions. Your reproductive rights will be limited, but you will survive. Option 2, Park Yuna asked, though her voice suggested she already knew. Permanent quarantine. Your species will be confined to your solar system. Any attempt to leave will be met with defensive action. The bridge was quiet, except for the hum of the ship's engines. Minho looked around at his crew. These were good people, smart, brave, dedicated to exploration and peace. The idea that other species saw them as monsters was hard to accept. How long do we have to decide? He asked. Your government has been contacted directly, Dexter replied. They have 72 of your hours to respond. Until then, we will maintain our position at the edge of your solar system. And if our government refuses both options, the aliens were quiet for a long moment. Finally, Dexter spoke. Then we will assume you have chosen to be a threat to galactic peace. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge crew staring at a screen full of stars again. But now those stars seemed different. Instead of infinite possibility, they represented a galaxy that feared humanity enough to consider destroying them. Minho turned to his communications officer. Get me Earth Command. It's Priority Alpha. Yes, sir, the officer replied, fingers flying over his controls as they waited for the connection. Park Yuna moved to stand beside her captain. Sir, what do you think we should do? Minho looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien ships waited for humanity's answer. The choice between freedom and survival, between exploration and safety. I think, he said slowly, we need to find out why they're really so afraid of us. Ambassador Cho Juwan stepped out of the transport shuttle and onto the docking platform of Centris Prime. The artificial gravity felt lighter than Earth's, making each step feel like a small bounce. Around her, the massive space station stretched. In all directions, a city floating in the void between stars. Stay close, she told her team. Professor Beisuho, the historian, was already taking notes on his tablet. Colonel Yuanhajin kept his hand near his sidearm, though they had agreed to come unarmed. The aliens had insisted on it. 3 days had passed since the ultimatum. Earth's government had sent Cho Juwan and her team to negotiate for more time. They needed to understand what they were really dealing with before making any decisions about humanity's future. A tall, thin alien approached them. Kay walked on 4 legs and had a long neck that reminded Cho of a giraffe, but its skin was smooth and silver. Ambassador Cho Juwan, I am Guide Velmuth. I will show you to the council chambers. As they walked through the station, Cho noticed other aliens stopping to stare at them. Some pointed and whispered. Others backed away when the humans got too close. A few small aliens actually ran away when they saw the human delegation approaching. "They seem afraid of us," Professor Bay observed quietly. "That's because you are terrifying," Velmuth replied without looking back. "Your species moves with the grace of natural predators. Your eyes track movement like hunters. Even your voices carry undertones of aggression." Colonel Yoon frowned. "We're not being aggressive. We're just walking." "Exactly," Velmuth said. "You walk like you own whatever space you occupy. Most species move carefully, checking for threats, staying alert for danger. You move like you are the danger." They entered a vast chamber where dozens of aliens sat in curved rows. Some were small and furry. Others were tall and thin, like Velmuth. A few looked almost like humans, except for their blue or green skin and extra arms or eyes. Counselor Thexfer stood at the center of the room. "Ambassador Cho Jiwan, welcome to Centris Prime. Have you come with your government's decision?" "We have come seeking understanding," Cho replied. "Before we make any choice, we need to know more about this classification system. Why is Earth considered so dangerous?" A murmur went through the chamber. Several aliens seemed surprised by the question. "You want to know why you are dangerous?" asked a small, round alien with large eyes. "Perhaps we should show you." The alien pressed several buttons on a device, and holographic images filled the air above them. The first image showed a peaceful-looking planet with purple oceans and pink skies. "This is Kepler 4b," the alien explained. "Average temperature varies by only 5 degrees across the entire planet. No storms, no earthquakes, no dangerous animals. Most of our species evolved on worlds like this." The image changed to show Earth. Storm clouds covered half the planet. Lightning flashed in the clouds. The image zoomed in to show a tornado tearing across a landscape. "This is your world during what you call normal weather. The energy in a single one of your storms is enough to power our entire civilization. 4 months. Yet, you live through hundreds of these storms every year." Professor Bay stepped forward. "We have buildings designed to withstand storms. We have warning systems and shelters." "Yes," replied the alien. "You have adapted to living in constant danger. This is not normal behavior for intelligent species." Another image appeared. This one showed various Earth animals. A lion hunting a zebra, a shark attacking a seal, a spider catching a fly in its web. "Your planet is filled with creatures that exist only to kill and eat other creatures," said Counselor Thexfer. "Most worlds have herbivorous species that live in harmony. Your world is a constant war zone." "That's just nature," Colonel Yoon said. "Species evolve to survive. The strong survive and the weak don't." The chamber fell silent. Several aliens backed away from the humans. "You see," Thexfer said to the others. "They speak of survival of the strong as if it is natural law. Most species evolved through cooperation and mutual aid. Only Deathworld species evolved through competition and violence." Dr. Kang Soyan, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "May we demonstrate something?" The aliens looked nervous, but Dexfer nodded. Dr. Kong walked to the center of the chamber. She picked up a heavy metal chair that had been provided for the aliens. She lifted it above her head with one hand. Several aliens gasped. Others moved further away. "This chair weighs approximately 30 kilograms, Dr. Kong said calmly. "For humans, this is not difficult to lift." She set the chair down and picked up a glass of water from a nearby table. "This water contains minerals and chemicals that we need to survive. We can drink water from rivers, lakes, and oceans on Earth." She drank the water. More gasps from the aliens. "That water would be poisonous to most species here," whispered Velmuth. "The mineral content alone would damage their organs." Dr. Kong reached into her bag and pulled out an apple. "This is food from our world. We eat it for nutrition and pleasure. She took a bite. This time, several aliens actually fled the chamber. The acid content in that fruit would burn holes in most alien digestive systems, Dexter explained to the remaining aliens. Yet, she eats it like it's harmless. Ambassador Cho was beginning to understand. Huh? You're not afraid of us because we're evil. You're afraid of us because we're adapted to survive in conditions that would kill you. Precisely, Dexter replied. Your species has evolved abilities that make you incredibly dangerous, even when you don't intend to be. Your physical strength, your ability to consume toxic substances, your resistance to environmental hazards. These are the traits of a species that could dominate the galaxy without even trying. Professor Bay was writing frantically in his notes. Key, you mentioned 17 other Deathworld species. What happened to them? K. The chamber grew quiet again. Dex War looked uncomfortable. K. That information is classified, he said, finally. It's classified. By whom? Colonel Ewan asked. By the High Council. The records are sealed in the deep archives. Ambassador Cho felt a chill run down her spine. Deep archives. That sounds like there's more to this story than you're telling us. There is much. You do not understand about galactic history, Vexfer admitted. The classification system exists for reasons beyond simple safety concerns. What kind of reasons? Dr. Kong asked. Nexfer looked around the chamber at the other aliens. Many of them were nodding, as if they were having a silent conversation. There are threats in the galaxy that peaceful species cannot face, he said slowly. Threats that require the kind of strength and adaptation that only Deathworld species possess. What kind, Ambassador? Cho pressed. The kind that destroyed the first galactic civilization, Vexfer replied. The kind that might be returning. The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Cho felt her heart racing. This was bigger than just humanity being dangerous. This was about humanity being needed. We need access to those archives, she said firmly. That is not possible, Vexfer replied. The deep archives are restricted to High Council members only. Then we need to speak to the High Council, Professor Bay said. Vexfer looked around the chamber again. The other aliens seemed to be waiting for his decision. I will make the request, he said, finally. But I cannot promise they will agree. To see you. The delegation prepared to leave the chamber. Velmuth approached Ambassador Cho. There is something else you should know, he said quietly. The High Council has been meeting in emergency session since your arrival. Nay, are not just discussing your classification. They are discussing whether to accelerate the timeline. What timeline? CO asked. The timeline for humanity's final evaluation, Velmuth replied. They are afraid that if they wait too long, it will be too late to stop you. Ambassador Cho felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. Humanity wasn't just being judged for membership in galactic civilization. They were being judged for survival, and the clock was ticking faster than anyone had realized. Captain Lee Minho stood in the archives chamber deep within Centros Prime, watching engineer Nam Ji-ho work his magic on the alien computer systems. The room was filled with thousands of data crystals, each one containing centuries of galactic history. Most of it was sealed behind security protocols that would take years to crack. But Nam Ji-ho was not most engineers. Got it, he said quietly, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The security system thinks I'm Archivist Velmuth. We have maybe 20 minutes before they notice. Dr. Park Yuna moved to another terminal, her eyes scanning through files as fast as she could read. There, she pointed at a section marked with symbols that looked like warnings, references to the 17 Deathworld species. Akira, all the files are heavily encrypted. Not anymore, Nam Ji-ho replied, his hands moving in complex patterns across the controls. Military encryption from 3,000 years ago. My grandfather could break this with a calculator. The first file opened, showing an image of a world covered in ice and storms. The text was in several alien languages, but the translation system was working. Species designation, Korth Park Una, read aloud. Home world, frozen Deathworld with surface temperatures reaching -80 degrees. Population, approximately 2 billion. Status, eliminated. Minho felt his blood turn cold. Eliminated. They killed 2 billion people. Keep reading, Nam, Jiho said grimly, opening another file. Species designation, Velkari, homeworld, high radiation environment with toxic atmosphere. Population, 5 billion. Status, eliminated. File after file told the same story. Species after species that had evolved on dangerous worlds, all marked as eliminated. The numbers were staggering. Billions of lives lost. This is genocide, Park Una whispered. They've been systematically destroying entire civilizations. But why? Minho asked. What made these species so dangerous that they had to be killed? Nam Jiho was already working on that question, diving deeper into the archives. He said, pulling up a much older file. This one's different. It's not about a Deathworld species. It's about something called the Devourers. The file was ancient, the data partially corrupted. What remained was terrifying. The Devourers appeared from the void between galaxies, Park Una read slowly. They consumed entire star systems, leaving nothing but empty space. No communication was possible. No negotiation. No mercy. The image that accompanied the file showed massive black ships, each one the size of a moon. They moved through space like living things, reaching out with tendrils of dark energy to grab planets and pull them into their hulls. First contact occurred in the Andromeda sector. Minho continued reading. 17 civilizations attempted to establish peaceful relations. All were consumed within standard galactic months. Nam Jiho pulled up tactical data from the ancient war. Look at this. The Devourers adapted to every weapon the galaxy used against them. Energy weapons made them stronger. Kinetic weapons bounced off their hulls. Nuclear weapons were absorbed and converted into more ship mass. How did they finally stop them? Park Una asked. That's the problem, Nam Jiho replied, scanning through more files. They didn't stop them. They drove them away. But barely. And the cost was enormous. The records showed a galaxy-wide alliance that had sacrificed hundreds of worlds just to slow the Devourers down. Entire star systems had been evacuated and their stars turned into weapons. The final battle had taken place at the edge of known space, where the combined fleets of 1,000 species had managed to damage the Devourer fleet enough to force them to retreat. But they're still out there, Minho realized, in the void between galaxies, waiting. And that's why they created the Deathworld classification system. Park Una said, the pieces falling into place. They weren't trying to protect the galaxy from dangerous species. They were trying to identify potential weapons. Nam Jiho nodded, pulling up another file. Look at this. Tactical analysis from the war. It's the only species that managed to inflict real damage on the Devourers were the ones from high gravity, high danger worlds. Species that had evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most life forms. The file showed battle reports from the final conflict. Species from peaceful worlds had been slaughtered within minutes of engaging the Devourers. But species from harsh environments had lasted longer, fought harder, and done real damage to the enemy ships. The Korth held the line at the Battle of Frozen Gate for 6 months. Park Una read. Their natural resistance to extreme cold allowed them to fight in the vacuum of space without protective gear. The Valkyrie were immune to the Devourer's radiation weapons, Minho added. They boarded enemy ships and fought hand-to-hand in environments that would have killed any other species. Nam Jiho was quiet for a moment, processing what they had learned. They weren't eliminated because they were dangerous to the galaxy. They were eliminated because they were dangerous to the Devourers. Someone didn't want the galaxy to have weapons that could fight back. The implications hit them like a physical blow. The Galactic Council wasn't trying to protect civilization from Deathworld species, or trying to keep civilization defenseless. But why? Park Yuna asked. Why would they want to be helpless if the Devourers come back? Maybe they don't know, Minho suggested. Maybe whoever made these decisions is gone, and the current council is just following old protocols without understanding why. Nam Jiho was already searching for more information. There's something else here. References to a group called the Shepherds. They seem to have been involved in the original decisions about Deathworld species. The files about the Shepherds were even more heavily encrypted. It took Nam Jiho several minutes to break through the security. The Shepherds were formed after the Devourer War, he read. Their stated mission was to guide galactic civilization toward peace and stability. But look at this private communication. A holographic message appeared in the air above them. The speaker was an alien species they didn't recognize, with multiple heads and arms covered in what looked like scales. The Deathworld species must be eliminated, the alien was saying. Not because they threaten us, but because they threaten our control. A galaxy that can defend itself is a galaxy that doesn't need shepherds. Park Yuna stared at the message in horror. They eliminated 17 species to maintain political control. Billions of people died so a secret organization could stay in power, Minho added, his voice tight with anger. Nam Jiho was still working, pulling up more files. There's something else. Recent communications between the current Galactic Council and someone called the High Shepherd. They are discussing humanity. The newest file was only days old. It showed Counselor Dexter speaking to a figure whose face was hidden in shadow. The humans are more dangerous than any previous Deathworld species, Dexter was saying. Their adaptive capabilities exceed even the Korth. Their technological advancement is unprecedented. If they discover the truth about the Devourers, they might actually be able to fight them. Then they must be eliminated before that happens, replied the shadowy figure. The timeline must be accelerated. Humanity cannot be allowed to reach full military potential. The message ended, leaving the three humans staring at empty air. They're planning to kill us, Park Yuna said quietly. Not just us, Minho replied. All of humanity, just like they did to the others. Nam Jiho was already copying files to his portable storage device. We need to get this information back to Earth. Our government needs to know what we're really facing. As they prepared to leave the archives, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Security lights flashed red, and automated voices spoke in multiple alien languages. I think they figured out. We've been here, Nam Jiho said, closing down the computer systems. Can we get back to our ship? Park Yuna asked. Minho checked his communicator. No signal. They're jamming our communications on our own. The three humans moved quickly through the corridors of Centros Prime, carrying with them the most dangerous information in galactic history. They knew the truth about the Deathworld classification system. They knew about the Shepherds and their secret control over galactic civilization. And they knew that humanity was next on the elimination list. But they also knew something else. Something that might change everything. The Devourers were still out there in the dark space between galaxies. And if the ancient records were correct, they were getting ready to return. The galaxy needed weapons that could fight back. The galaxy needed Deathworld species. The galaxy needed humanity, whether the Shepherds wanted it or not. Commander Oh Sungmin stood in the Deep Space Monitoring Station orbiting Saturn, watching the sensor displays with growing alarm. For the past week, strange energy readings had been appearing at the edge of human space. Readings that matched nothing in their databases. Call technician Choi Mira from her station. but getting more of those unknown signals. Sector 7, approximately 40 light-years out. Oh, Sungmin walked over to her console. The energy patterns were unlike anything they had seen before. They pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost alive, and they were moving toward populated space. How many contacts now? He asked. 17 confirmed signals, Mira replied. Moving in formation, all heading toward the inner systems. Oh, Sungmin felt his stomach tighten. 17 unknown contacts, moving together toward human space. It couldn't be a coincidence. "Kit me Admiral Jung Kyung-ho," he ordered. Priority. Alpha. Within minutes, the Admiral's face appeared on the main screen. Jung Kyung-ho had been Earth's top military strategist for 15 years, and Oh Sungmin had never seen him look worried. Today, he looked terrified. "Commander Oh," the Admiral said, without preamble. "We've been tracking the same signals from 6 different monitoring stations. Whatever these things are, they're big, ship-sized, maybe bigger. Could they be Galactic Council vessels?" Ko Sungmin asked, though he already suspected the answer. Negative. "We've been monitoring Council communications since the ultimatum. They're as confused as we are. Their long-range sensors are picking up the same signals, and they have no idea what they are." Dr. Lee Jeong, Earth's leading xenobiologist, appeared on a secondary screen. She had been working around the clock since Captain Lee Minho's team had transmitted their findings from the alien archives. "Admiral, Commander," she said urgently, "I've been analyzing the data from Centris Prime. The energy signatures we're detecting match the descriptions of Devourer technology from the ancient records." The command center fell silent. Everyone had read the reports about the Devourers, ancient enemies that had nearly destroyed galactic civilization, enemies that were supposed to be gone. "How sure are you, Doctor?" Admiral Jung asked. 95%, Dr. Lee replied. The energy patterns, the formation movement, even the timing. Everything matches the historical data. The datasets are returning." Oh, Sungmin looked at the sensor displays again. 17 massive contacts, moving in perfect formation toward the heart of galactic civilization. Just like the ancient records described. "Admiral, what are our orders?" Jung Kyung-ho was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was grim. "Yellow alert throughout the system. All ships to combat readiness, and get me the President. She needs to know what we're facing." The alarms sounded throughout the station. Oh Sungmin received an urgent communication from the Galactic Council. Counselor Dexfer appeared on his screen, and for the first time since meeting the aliens, the human commander saw genuine fear in the aliens' 4 eyes. "Commander Oh Sungmin," Dexfer said rapidly, "we are detecting massive energy signatures approaching from deep space. Our analysts believe these may be the return of an ancient threat. We request immediate military cooperation." "What kind of cooperation?" Oh Sungmin asked carefully. "Full deployment of human military assets under Galactic Council command. Your species' unique capabilities may be required for defense." Oh, Sungmin almost laughed. 3 weeks ago, these same aliens had been talking about eliminating humanity because they were too dangerous. Now they wanted human help. "I'll need to consult with my superiors," he replied. "There is no time," Dexver insisted. "T's first contact with the unknown vessels will occur within hours. We need your ships now." "Har. Ships?" Oh, Sungmin asked. "A week ago, you told us we couldn't leave our solar system." Dexver looked uncomfortable. "Circumstances have changed. Council is prepared to grant humanity provisional membership in exchange for military assistance." Before Oh Sungmin could respond, Lieutenant Kim So-young called out from her station. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the outer perimeter. One of our patrol ships has made visual contact with the unknown vessels." "Put it through," Oh Sungmin ordered. Captain Shin Borum's face appeared on the screen. Behind her, The bridge of her ship was lit by red emergency lighting. "Commander, you need to see this." The image switched to the ship's external cameras. In the distance, moving through space like living shadows, were the largest ships Oh Sung-min had ever seen. Each one was easily the size of a small moon, black as the void between stars, with tendrils of dark energy reaching out from their hulls. "My God," whispered Dr. Lee from her screen. "They look exactly like the archive images. Those are Devourer ships." "Captain Shin," Oh Sung-min said urgently, "get out of there. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage." "Too late, sir," Captain Shin replied. "They've seen us. They're changing course to intercept." Oh Sung-min watched in horror as one of the massive black ships turned toward the human patrol vessel. Dark energy began building around its forward section, all powered to engines. He heard Captain Shin order her crew, "Emergency, jump to hyperspace." Patrol ship disappeared in a flash of light, just as a beam of dark energy lanced through the space where it had been. The beam was so powerful that it left visible distortions in space itself. "They got away," Oh Sung-min breathed. "But they know we're here now," Admiral Jung said grimly. "And they're heading straight for the inner systems across the galaxy." Similar scenes were playing out. Alien ships that had encountered the Devourers were either fleeing in panic or simply disappearing. The few that managed to engage the ancient enemy were destroyed within seconds. But something strange was happening. Every species that tried to fight the Devourers was defeated quickly and completely. Every species except one. "Sir," Technician Choi called out, "we're receiving combat reports from throughout the galaxy. The Devourers are attacking multiple systems simultaneously." "Any successful resistance?" Oh Sung-min asked, though he feared. The answer: "Yes, sir. One engagement in the Vega system. A human cargo ship was attacked by a Devourer scout. The ship was damaged, but managed to fight back and escape." Oh Sung-min stared at her. "Cargo ship fought a Devourer and survived, according to the report, sir. The crew used improvised weapons and tactics that confused the enemy long enough to escape to hyperspace." Dr. Lee was studying the data as it came in. "Commander, I'm seeing a pattern here. Every species that encounters the Devourers is defeated within minutes, but humans are lasting longer, much longer." "Why?" "'Cause we evolved on a death world," she replied. "The same traits that make other species afraid of us are exactly what we need to fight the Devourers. High gravity adaptation gives us faster reflexes. Toxic environment resistance lets us survive their energy weapons longer. Our predator instincts help us anticipate their attacks." Admiral Jung appeared on the main screen again. "Commander, I'm getting reports from across human space. Every ship that encounters the Devourers is managing to inflict some damage before retreating. It's not much, but it's more than any other species has accomplished." "What are your orders, sir?" "Prepare all available ships for combat. If the ancient records are correct, the Devourers won't stop until they've consumed everything in the galaxy. And it looks like we're the only species that can fight them." Oh Sung-min looked around his command center. His crew was working frantically, preparing for a war against an enemy that had destroyed civilizations. An enemy that was supposed to be impossible to defeat. But they were human. Quote, "They had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day." Quote, "They had survived ice ages, plagues, natural disasters, and countless wars among themselves. They were the products of 4 billion years of evolution on a planet that allowed only the strongest to survive. Send a message to all human ships," he ordered. "Full combat alert. We are now at war with the Devourers." "What about the Galactic Council?" Technician Choi asked. Oh Sung-min thought about Counselor Thexver's request for cooperation. About the shepherds who had eliminated 17 species to keep the galaxy defenseless. About the billions of people who had died because someone wanted to maintain control. "Tell them," he said grimly, "that humanity is no longer asking for permission. As alarms sounded throughout human space and ships prepared for battle, one thing became clear. The galaxy had spent thousands of years trying to eliminate the species that could fight the devil, URERS. Now they would see what happened when that species decided to fight back. The age of human submission was over. The age of human war had begun. Fleet Admiral Park Tae-young stood on the bridge of the UES Victory, watching as the largest human fleet in history assembled around Earth. 200 ships of every class, from massive battleships to small fighters, all preparing for what might be humanity's final battle. 3 months had passed since the Devourers had returned. In that time, they had consumed 12 alien worlds and were moving steadily toward the core systems of galactic civilization. Every species that tried to stop them had been defeated. Every species, except humanity, called Captain Shin Barome from her position at the tactical station. Long-range sensors are detecting the main Devourer fleet. 47 large vessels heading directly for Centris Prime. Park Tae-young nodded grimly. The alien capital was 3 days away at maximum speed. If it fell, the rest of galactic civilization would collapse within weeks. Status of the evacuation, he asked. Most civilian populations have been moved to the Outer Rim worlds, replied Dr. Shin Min-woo, who had been coordinating refugee efforts. But millions of aliens are still trapped on the core worlds. The Admiral looked out at his fleet. These ships had been built for exploration and defense, not for fighting an enemy that had nearly destroyed the galaxy once before. But they were all humanity had. Signal from Centros Prime, announced Communications Officer Lee Ji-han. Counselor Dex-4 wants to speak with you. Okay. The alien's face appeared on the main screen. Okay. Luxfer looked exhausted, his usual composure replaced by barely controlled panic. Admiral Park, he said without preamble. Our defensive fleets have been completely destroyed. The Devourers will reach Centris Prime in 72 hours. We are formally requesting human military intervention. You mean the same human military you wanted to eliminate 3 months ago? Park Tae-young asked coldly. Dexfer flinched. We were wrong. We understand that now. Your species is not a threat to galactic civilization. You are its salvation. Some of us are still a threat, Park Tae-young replied. Dr. Shin, show him what we found. Dr. Shin Min-woo activated a holographic display showing the results of their investigation into Earth's origins. The data was stunning and terrible. 3.7 million years ago, Dr. Shin explained, an unknown species modified Earth's environment. They introduced aggressive predators, unstable weather patterns, and evolutionary pressures specifically designed to create the ultimate warrior species. Okay? The hologram showed ancient machines buried deep beneath Earth's surface, still functioning. After millions of years, machines that had guided human evolution, pushing the species to develop traits that would be needed to fight the Devourers. Your planet was not naturally a death world, Dr. Shin continued. It was artificially enhanced by a precursor species that knew the Devourers would return someday. Dexter stared at the data in shock. You were created to fight them, not created. Admiral Park corrected. Forged, shaped by millions of years of survival on a world designed to produce the perfect anti-devourer weapons. But why didn't this precursor species fight the Devourers themselves? Dexter asked. Because they couldn't, Dr. Shin replied. The archaeological evidence suggests they were a peaceful species, like most of the galaxy. When the Devourers first appeared, they were slaughtered like everyone else. But before they died, they planted the seeds for their revenge. Captain Shin Borum pulled up tactical displays from recent battles. Heavy engagement between human forces and the Devourers confirms it. We fight like we were born for this war. Displays showed human ships using tactics that confused and frustrated the ancient enemy. Where other species fought in neat formations, humans attacked from impossible angles. Where other species used energy weapons that the Devourers could absorb. Humans used kinetic weapons and nuclear missiles that caused real damage. The Devourers evolved to fight against the galactic civilizations of their time, explained Dr. Li Jiang via communication link from Earth. Peaceful species that fought defensively and tried to minimize casualties. They were not prepared for a species that attacks with the fury of a world that spent 4 billion years trying to kill them. General Ru Sang-hoon appeared on another screen, reporting from the front lines. Admiral, we've just received word from the Battle of New Geneva. 3 human destroyers engaged the Devourer heavy cruiser. The alien ship was destroyed with minimal human casualties. Around the bridge, the crew exchanged looks of amazement. A Devourer heavy cruiser was supposed to be able to destroy entire fleets. How? Dexter asked. Because humans don't fight fair, General Ru replied with grim satisfaction. We use every dirty trick, every brutal tactic, every psychological warfare technique that 4 billion years of evolution taught us. The Devourers expect honorable combat. We give them total war. Admiral Park turned back to Dexter. There's something else you need to know. We've been in contact with the survivors of those 17 Deathworld species you eliminated. Dexter's 4 eyes went wide. Survivors. But the records said they were all eliminated. The shepherds lied, Park replied. Small populations escaped to hidden worlds. They've been waiting for thousands of years for a chance at revenge. When they learned about the Devourer return, they contacted us. The holographic display changed to show ships unlike anything in galactic records. Vessels that looked like they had been built for war in the depths of hell itself. The Quarth-bring ice ships that can fight in the vacuum of space, Dr. Shin explained. The Valkyrie have radiation-immune crews that can board enemy vessels. The Morthan can survive in gravity, fields that would crush normal ships. 17 Deathworld species, all working together, Admiral Park said. All united by one common goal, making the Devourers pay for what they've done to the galaxy. But we're not doing this for you, he continued, his voice hardening. Doing this because the Devourers need to be stopped. After that, we'll deal with the shepherds and anyone else who thinks they can control Deathworld species. Dexter looked terrified, but also hopeful. What do you need from us? Stay out of our way, Park replied. Move your civilians to safety and let us do what we were made to do. Tage. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the Victory in silence. Admiral, Captain Shin asked quietly, do you really think we can win? Park Tae-young looked out at the stars, thinking about the ancient machines buried beneath Earth's surface, about the precursor species that had sacrificed themselves to give the galaxy a weapon against the darkness, about the billions of humans who had lived and died on a world designed to forge warriors. The Devourers destroyed peaceful civilizations, he said finally, but we're not a peaceful civilization. We're the children of a world that tried to kill us every day for 4 billion years. We're what happens when evolution itself becomes a weapon. He turned to his crew, seeing the determination in their eyes. These were humans, products of Earth, shaped by gravity and storms and predators and disasters into something the galaxy had never seen before. Signal the fleet, he ordered. All ships, battle stations. Today, we find out what Earth was really built to kill. As the human fleet moved toward the core systems, something else was happening throughout the galaxy. On hidden worlds and forgotten colonies, the survivors of 17 extinct civilizations were preparing for war. Ships that had been hidden for millennia were powering up. Warriors who had waited generations for revenge were taking up their weapons. The shepherds had spent thousands of years eliminating Deathworld species to keep the galaxy safe and controllable. They had succeeded in creating a peaceful civilization that couldn't defend itself, but they had missed a few, and now those few were coming home. The age of peaceful galactic civilization was ending. The age of the Deathworld species had begun, and, somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, ancient enemies were about to learn what happened when you threatened a galaxy protected by worlds that refused to die.